is one of the most magical regions of Russia. Since it did not fall, since it didn't get crushed under the avalanche of Christian culture, it retained its archaic, very ancient traditions in a very pure way up to the 17th century. The members of Club Достояние Планеты heard about a megalithic stone wall located in the village called Chusuvoe, which is located on the right shore of river Chusuvaya, and decided to visit the site and see what is this all about. The information about this wall that they could get from internet was very scarce, and all it said basically was that there is a megalithic wall that doesn't fit the architecture and building style of the vicinity. No scientific research has been done on this location so far, ever. When the group arrived in the village, the local people explained to them that actually this wall appears to be was a part of a factory owned by the family Demidovы, who had a business in this location in the past. In the local municipality, the people were very happy to give them complete information about this factory that was manufacturing various iron objects which would get stored in location near the wall under question, the megalithic wall, and every spring would travel all the way to the big cities of Russia on the river Chusuvaya. The river would be used to carry their merchandise to be sold in the big cities. This factory that belonged to the clan Demidovy was built in the 18th century, and the village itself started its history some 400 years before that. However, archaeological findings show that there was even older, very ancient settlement on the same location, and the members of the nation called Mansi resided here very long time ago. Actually, this megalithic wall was indeed really a part of this ancient, not ancient, but factory. And its purpose was that the boats would be placed below it, and this wall would hold the weight of the load while it is being loaded on the boats. And similar system for loading boats for transportation on the river was very common in those times in this area. Originally, the length of the wall would have been some 100 meters, although not all of it is preserved till now, and on one side actually the wall is starting to fall apart. The blocks which were used for constructing the wall are actually quite large. They reach up to 2 meters in length and weigh a couple of tons. There are no other buildings in the village that utilize similar building techniques or similar size of stones. You see on the screen now a very rare old photograph taken 1912, which shows the last remaining falling structure of the factory of the Demidovay clan. And it is clearly visible that the style of construction is completely different from what we see on the megalithic wall. Actually, the full factory of Davidovay was so flimsy compared to the wall that there is no wonder that nowadays there isn't any single trace left of it. All of it has fallen apart, including the foundations. Even they did not stand till now. There is no doubt that this wall was used by the factory to load their merchandise and send it on the river. That's beyond doubt. However, it looks a bit strange, the fact that they could have built this wall, and in fact, it's kind of becoming questionable if they could build it at all. After all, if they were able to spend so much resources and money to build such a mighty wall long 100 meters, if they had such a high technology at their disposal, why didn't they use it to build also durable buildings for their manufacturing facilities? Somehow it doesn't fit the full picture. So did the Vidve use a wall that was already there, or they built it as well? Another questionable fact in this regard is that the wall consists of some 6,000 blocks, and all of them have absolutely different size. They are not uniform, and if the wall was built during the 18th century, they would have been all of the same or similar size, because the building techniques that were officially used at that time were already into using uniform pieces of building materials like bricks, for example. So although it looks like the wall must have been built by the Davidovi, because it is definitely a place where things would be loaded to go on the river, but on the other side, the looks of the wall don't confirm that it belongs to this factory, in the sense that it was built by the Davidovi clan. Moreover, nowhere in the vicinity there is any stone quarry from where the Davidovi could have obtained the stone needed for building the wall. And the next point is that locally at that time there was no machinery available that could quarry the stones and also cut them in this shape. If such technology was used locally during that time period anywhere in the full area, then there would have been other buildings that contain at least some elements of such polygonal megalithic structure. However, anything likely cannot be spotted anywhere nearby, even in the foundations of the buildings. In reality, it is very difficult to imagine how could have Davidove at all built anything like this. After all, we're speaking about 18th century. At that time, the technology was not enough advanced to handle the transportation of such megalithic blocks uh, on long distances. I mean, in the most optimistic estimation, it would have been only in St. Petersburg and Moscow that there could have been similar heavy equipment available, and that is very, very far from this remote village. It's hard to imagine what kind of fortune would it cost at those times to order all the way heavy equipment from Moscow or St. Petersburg and then deliver a couple of thousand megalithic blocks to this remote village. On the top of that, if the Davidovai did build this wall, they would have ordered also a special equipment to the location that would cut the individual stones in such a complex manner that they must fit each other, because we are talking about polygonal masonry. It means every stone is not uniform like in a modern building technique, but is unique and needs to be uniquely cut to fit the next one, which is extremely complex task actually. The geologist Alexander Kaltepin explains that this wall is made of some of the hardest stones available on the planet. So very heavy and serious equipment would have needed to cut these stones and construct this wall. Also, we see metal keystone cuts in the megalithic stones, which makes similar megalithic masonry very, very strong and earthquake resistant. Very similar holes are found all over the world on various continents, and they hold the megalithic masonry very tight. One example is Hattusha, the capital of the Hittites. Over there, we see thousands of perfectly drilled holes in the stones, and they had the same function. Metal uh, objects were inserted or melted in those cavities to hold the stones together forever. At that point, the team, the Staiania Planetae, decided to go back once again to the small local museum and search more information about this factory. And The director of the museum actually she found the original sketches and the building plans of the factory. And much to everybody's surprisement, even her own, the wall was not found on any of the plans. There were a couple of plans of this factory available. However, the wall was not depicted on any of them, which shouldn't be the case if it was built as part of the outbuildings of this factory. This was very surprising to the director of the small museum, because she herself always considered the wall to be something that was erected by the Davidovich clan. And now let's take the opinion of a geologist, Alexander Kaltepin. He says that this wall really resembles other megalithic structures like those found in Peru, Egypt, and Turkey, and other locations. It is made of a very similar stone. The materials are very similar. The size of the blocks is also similar. However, the blocks do not fit perfectly with each other, in the sense that in many other megalithic structures one cannot even insert a needle in between the blocks. Well, this is not the case here, so this megalithic wall is somewhat different. The closest to it, what resembles most, is the wall in Jerusalem. It is very similar, and also Alexander Kaltepin explains that this should not be a really ancient structure, because due to the peculiarities of the Ural region, if it was built a very long time ago, it should have been buried under layers of earth already. It shouldn't be that close to the surface, and also the sediments on its surface, the aging of the stones, shows that it has been cut relatively recently. He thinks that this probably would have been built sometime in the Middle Ages, as far as the looks of the wall are concerned from geological point of view, that this should be built somewhere in the Middle Ages, or a bit earlier than that, somewhere in that time period. So, indeed, this is a very mysterious wall. What do you think? Who built it? Is it really possible that the ancient knowledge of polygonal megalithic masonry survived until the Middle Ages in a remote area like this?